Hey Soul Kids, it's me Ben. I hope you have another lovely week this week. Today we're going to be carrying on looking at one of the Psalms of the Bible. And if you don't know where the Psalms are, if you have a Bible and you split it about in half, that's probably going to land you in the Psalms. They're found in the Old Testament, which means they came before Jesus. And a lot of the Psalms are actually written by one of the kings of Israel, King David. And Psalms are another sort of word for music and songs. And back in the time of David, many different instruments existed and were used to sing the praise of God. And there's also just this general acceptance of you can play whatever you want, however you want, because it's all praise towards God. And so Psalm 19 is the one we're looking at today, and we're just looking at verse 1 to 6. And this is one of the songs written by David. And some of the ones written by David were special ones that he then used after maybe he defeated an enemy in battle, or even before a battle. He did a lot of fighting, David. He was very important to God. Now, I'm going to read, so you can either grab a Bible and follow along, or maybe you just want to sit and listen to what I have to say, and that's alright. Okay, so starting at verse 1. The heavens declare the glory of God. The skies proclaim the work of his hands. Day after day they pour forth speech. Night after night they reveal knowledge. They have no speech, they use no words. No sound is heard from them. Yet their voice goes out into all the earth, their words to the ends of the world. In the heavens God has pitched a tent for the sun. It is like a bridegroom coming out of its chamber, like a champion rejoicing to run his course. It rises at one end of the heavens and makes its circuit to the other. Nothing is deprived of its warmth. Okay, this passage is really cool, I think. And it's all about how nature is all around us, and it all is pointing back to God, about how great he is, because he created everything. You know, back in Genesis, he created the heavens and the earth and the birds and the trees and the plants and everything. He created us, obviously, that's why we're here. But it's so important to remember that we can look around at all of these different things and we can point back to God and just be amazed, really. So, right in verse 1, it talked about the skies proclaim the work of his hands, and then day after day they pour forth speech. And then after that, it talks about how they have no speech, and they use no words, and no sound is heard. And what that means is that we can look at these things. So you might want to maybe look out a window and poke your head out, because if you look up at the sky and you just look around, it's so amazing. And especially at night with all the stars, maybe it's a bit late at night at the moment because it's in the summer, but if in winter you look outside and you can see all those stars, God created all of that. He created the heavens. He created everything in the sky, and a lot of that is really useful. You know, maybe you've learned about the atmosphere in science, but that helps keep us alive with all of its warmth and oxygen that it helps keep in. And so it's not only just really helpful to us, it just shouts God's glory and it shouts his praise. Even though it doesn't say anything, we can look at those things and think, wow, isn't God amazing? And I think a really cool fact is that leaves, each leaf is very different. They're all unique. None of them have ever been the same. And that's like us. As humans, there aren't any people except twins. But there's no people that are exactly the same. And even twins, when they grow up, they're not the same anymore. And so we can look at leaves, part of nature on trees, and we can look at them. All of them are different. They're all unique. And so we can look at that and think, wow, isn't God amazing? And so that's how they are able to pour forth speech. Even though they're not using words, they're not speaking, there's no sound. They just show how great God is. They show his glory all the time. And all it takes is just to look. So if you look outside, maybe you can see some clouds. And if you look at one cloud and then another, they don't probably look very similar, do they? That's because everything's very different. All clouds are different because God has created this unique planet for us, and He's created all of us being unique, and we can show our gratitude to Him, how thankful we are, because we see this greatness all around us that He's given us. And then we look at the second bit, so verse 4 to 6. It's talking about how the sun is pitched in a tent in the heavens. And more recently, we know that we go around the sun rather than the sun going around us. But back in David's time, that probably wasn't very common knowledge, and a lot of the thought and belief was that the sun went around us. And so in verse 6 he talks about how the sun rises at one end of the heavens, also known as the sky, and makes its circuit to the other. Nothing is deprived of its warmth. And what David's talking about here is basically daytime. So the sun will rise on one side of the sky, go all the way over, and then set on the other. And then nothing is deprived of its warmth. And that's just like God is to us. Because when it's daytime, it's sunny and it's warm. And yeah, there are some areas of the world, like the Antarctic and Antarctica, that are very, very cold, even in daytime. But the sun gives us warmth, and it gives us this great heat. And like God, we get this heat just all the time. He just gives it out to us. And it's by His power and by His grace that He gives us this warmth, and He gives us His presence, because that's also another way of thinking about it. God is always with us. He's giving us this constantly, day after day after day. And so maybe this week, when you go outside, you can have a look around maybe and find some plants and trees. Maybe you look up at the sky and you can see just how great God is. Because everything is different, everything is unique, and God has made this planet for us to live on. And therefore, maybe just take a moment when you're out, maybe to take a bit of time out to pray and just, thank God for how great He is. And remember, this is one of the Psalms. This is a song that they used to sing, and I'm sure there's going to be a lot of worship songs out there that talk about praying and praising nature and how great God is. So maybe you could listen to some of those. Okay. Well, that's all for now. I hope you have another lovely good week, and we'll see you again soon. Bye for now.